Good morning, everyone. I'm Kyle Constant, Digital Services Librarian at Trails Regional Library, here for yet another online training on one of our electronic resources. Today, we're going to be talking about OneClickDigital. First, I want to tell you a little bit about OneClickDigital. It's a service from Recorded Books, which we also get, from whom we also get Zinio. And it is something that was basically thrown in with the purchase of Zinio. Now that we have access to Zinio, we also have access to OneClickDigital. It's sort of a package deal. We didn't pay extra for it. So consequently, the features in the collection are a little bit lacking in my opinion. Essentially, the collection that we have in OneClickDigital is audiobooks. It operates similarly to Overdrive with a couple of exceptions, primarily that the collection that we have is primarily public domain works. So there aren't holds, there aren't wait times, there aren't checkout periods, things like that. They're available all the time. They can be downloaded at any moment and can be used as long as someone wants. They don't have to return them. They never expire. But at the same time, they're public domain works. So they're older things, Mark Twain and Jane Austen and things like that. They're not bestsellers. We can buy more titles to put into OneClickDigital, but and those titles, if they were bestsellers or if they were more popular, more recently published titles, they would probably have some of the same restrictions that our Overdrive titles have. We've never done that, primarily because our Overdrive service is as popular as it is. So we've chosen to put more money into that rather than kind of dividing into a couple of different collections the money that we have. So that's a short overview of what this service is. I'm going to show you a little bit of how you use it from either a desktop or from a mobile device, and hopefully that will give you a little bit better idea how this service works and what differentiates it from Overdrive. So now I'm going to share my other screen with you, if I can find it here. Hang on just one second. For whatever reason, it's not wanting to share the window that I want. There it is. Okay. There we go. Okay. So to get to OneClickDigital from our homepage, you just hover over online resources, come down to where it says ebooks and audiobooks, and here you have multiple different interfaces for Overdrive, and at the bottom, OneClickDigital e-audiobooks. That's another thing to note about OneClickDigital is currently we only have audio. We don't have any ebooks through this service. So if anybody wants anything that they can read, we don't have that through OneClickDigital. We only have audio. So when they click on that, they will get this homepage. And you can see, again, some of the things that are featured here: Robert Louis Stevenson, Zane Grey, Daniel Defoe, D.H. Lawrence, things like that, Benjamin Franklin, Henry Adams, Edith Wharton. So you get a good idea of kind of what this collection looks like. You can browse in a couple of different ways. You can look at most popular, bestsellers, newly added, or by genre. This collection is pretty small. I want to say we have about 200 titles in here, so it's not something that would take you a whole lot of time to actually just browse through everything. So one way to do it is just to click all e-audio titles, and then it'll just bring up everything. And that might actually be the easiest way. You can see even bringing up all of them, there's only 4 pages here. So you can get through most of these pretty darn quickly. That doesn't mean there's nothing of value in here as far as it being public domain works. They're classics for a reason. So there are lots of things in here that might be required for school. So if you have some students that have challenges with reading, they're not advanced readers, they might thrive on using audio rather than something like the traditional print or an ebook. I know that I found whenever I was in high school that listening to audio was a little bit easier, specifically because of the difference in diction and cadence in older English. It was something that was a little bit easier to hear rather than it was to read. So that's something that even somebody who might be a decent reader might still benefit from listening to some of these things rather than reading them. So essentially, any one of these you can click on and get more information, again, similar to the way you can with Overdrive. And you can get some more information here. So you have the format is e-audio and it's non-protected. All of our titles, as far as I know, will be e-audio and they will all be non-protected, which means that you don't have to use a specific program to download and transfer them like you would with, let's say, Adobe Digital Editions or something like that. There isn't any sort of DRM, any digital rights management protection or copy protection on these. You download them and they're just files. So there is a checkout period here, but they never expire. You can just keep them as long as you want. You do have chapter information here, so they're still broken up much like an audiobook would be on CD. And you have a short description, of course. You can stream a preview if you want. If you don't know if it's something that you want to listen to, you can preview it. When you click checkout, it's going to want you to sign in. I actually used the same sign-in credentials as my Zenio account because Zenio is another recorded books service, and that worked just fine. And this thing, I believe, shows my password. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and get logged in here, and then I'll share again after I have put my password in. There we go. All right. So you can see, since I clicked checkout, you can see that it automatically brings up a download dialog box. So I can come in here to say my desktop, and I'm going to select this folder called OneClickDigital. And you can see down here, I just realized you guys cannot see the download dialog box. Let me see if I can share that with you. Here, I'll just share screen 2 instead. There we go. Now you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so after I signed in, it just brought up this dialog box because I clicked checkout now. So it went ahead. It didn't go back to the item screen. It didn't go back to the home page. It immediately brought this up. So you can see my folder up here is OneClickDigital. It's just on my desktop. This could be wherever you want. Again, this is something that is not protected, so you can manage this file however you want. Something to note is that it is named. You can see the file name down here. It's just, it has a number, and then it says Awakening the MP3 48. Again, you can name it whatever you want. It can be whatever. Something else to note is underneath that file type, it says compressed or zipped folder. That's how these are going to be downloaded. You'll download them all at once, but it will be a zipped folder. And you can see down at the bottom, I've got the Awakening zip file downloading to my desktop. And whenever it's done, then I'll be able to go out using my file manager, either Windows Explorer or my computer or whatever it is that you prefer to use, and go out and I can unzip that file. I'll show you that as soon as this is finished downloading. And then, or I might just go get one that I downloaded yesterday. That might make more sense, and show you how that one worked. because it's over here. It real quick. I'll go ahead and put it in my folder. I'll show you how to unzip it because it's already downloaded. We don't have to wait on it. Okay, let me share that with you real quick. There we go. Okay, so you can see up at the top here, this, again, it's named very similarly to the one that I just showed you. It's got a random string of numbers, and then it says Oscar Wilde, COLLE, but it's the Oscar Wilde collection, and then it says MP3 48. 48 is probably the kilobits per second quality rating on the MP3s. You don't need to know that. I'm just saying what that probably indicates. Once I've got this zip folder, and you can see this right here, this file that is also in this folder, this is the one that's not quite downloaded yet. So that will stay there until it's fully downloaded, and then it will be replaced by the zip file for the Awakening. So in this folder where my file is, where my zip file is, if I want to now unzip it and then transfer it to a device, all I would need to do is right-click on this file, come down. Patrons will need an unzipping utility. These are freely available. One that I would recommend is called 7-Zip. I'm noticing also that you can't see my right-click menu. Let me go back and share my screen in a different way, and hopefully, yeah, there we go. Now you can see my right-click menu. So anyway, when I right-click, different things open up. One of the options in my menu is 7-Zip. Now that is because I have 7-Zip installed. If they don't have a zipping or unzipping utility, they'll have to download and install one. 7-Zip is free. They can just do a quick Google search for 7-Zip and find it pretty easily and install it on their machine without any difficulty. There's no account required for 7-Zip. It's just totally free. And again, I promise it won't install anything else. It's not spyware or malware or anything like that. It's a good program. And then there's other options out here to the side for what I can do with this file with 7-Zip. And I'm just going to extract to, and then it has a folder name here that it's going to create, and then put all of the files inside my zip file into that folder. Okay, so I'm just going to extract to, and the folder is named the same thing as the zip file. So it just unzipped it. Now you can see I have two different files here that look like, or rather I have a file and now I have a folder that are named the same. This isn't a problem in Windows as long as, you know, they're two different kinds of files, or one is actually a folder and the other one is a file. So, you know, that's not a big issue, but that's how, you know, that's the easiest way probably to identify the folder, especially if you have a folder full of other files and things like that. It's going to be named the same thing as your zip file. Double clicking on that one opens up all of the files inside. So those of you who have already gone through some of the lynda.com training that we're requiring this year will already know some of this stuff about zip files, but that's all really a zip file is a lot of other files that are compressed and zipped up together so that you can download them all at once. You don't have to download each of these pieces individually. You download one file and then you unzip it whenever it gets there, and you've got all of these. These are just different chapters for the Oscar Wilde collection. So all you would have to do at this point, and I'm actually going to plug in my phone, and that way we've got a target here. Let me unlock it real quick. Okay. So whenever the computer recognizes it as being plugged in, it should show up here. Come on. Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry about that. I did not have my USB hub turned on. There it is. Okay. That is a different drive. Okay, so now we can see it down here. This is my my phone. It just says Kyle's S4. So that is what I've named my phone. So you can see I've got card space and I've got phone space. Now this is transferring it onto, whoops. This is transferring it onto a phone, an Android phone. Android is much easier to do this with, primarily because it gives you an open file system, or more or less an open file system that you can drag and drop files into. So all I really need to do, and you can see now the Awakening file has completed downloading, so it's here, and I could unzip it if I wanted to. But I'm just going to go the next step. I'm going to take this folder. You can copy it, you can cut it, you can drag it, you can do whatever you want, however you want to move this file. I'm just going to right-click on it and do copy, so that I can do all this in the same window. I don't have to drop directly to it. So then I'm going to come into my S4, and I've got my card. This is my SD card in my phone. If you want to drag it directly to the phone, you can do this using the same method. But basically, all you need to know is kind of where your music files are kept. And in Android, it's just in a folder called Music. So you can open that up and copy those files directly into your music folder. And actually, here's what I should do. Let's come over here and go to OneClickDigital. There. Okay, so here's my folder. I'll show you just the drag and drop method. You can grab it, drag it over here to music, and you can see it pops up a little thing that just says copy. So it's going to copy it for me. It's going to do the same thing that I would have done by copy and pasting. And then I can just drop it. It'll pop up a little transfer or a copying dialog here to show me my progress. And then it's going to copy that over into the folder in my on my phone. And once that's done, then I can open it up on my phone in a music player or a media player of any kind. And on Android, at least, if it's in a folder called music like this, Android will find it, and it will be indexed based on the folder or the file name, and you can go in and find it in your music player. So I'm going to go back and share something else with you. There it is. Okay, so that is the basics of how you use the website. Again, you can do searching, you can do a variety of different methods of trying to find a specific title, but really it is what it is, and I don't know that we have any plans to add major new genres or sections, or including additional titles to this collection. I don't think it's going to change dramatically in the near future, if ever. So again, if you have someone who needs something like this, needs a classic for school, or maybe is just passionate about reading classics, there are certainly fans of these types of works out there. So it's not that there isn't an audience, it's just maybe a little bit more limited than there would be for bestsellers. This just shows everything. If I switch from the tiles to a list, it just shows the same information in a different format. Okay, let me check and make sure. Okay, I do. I'm going to switch over and share the app with you just to kind of show you what the mobile app looks like. So this is the mobile app on an Android device. And you can see after I've signed in, that's one of the first things that you do, and I'll show you what that registration process looks like in just a moment. Or the it's not really called registration because I've already registered for an account. It's configuration, or setting up a profile, I guess is what they actually call it. But you can see I'm already here. My name is already there, so it already knows me. It knows what library I belong to, and therefore what collection I have access to. So these are just the first few titles. It looks almost identical to the web interface. I can choose one of these, or again, I can come in here and click Browse All Titles, and hopefully it will load up the collection that we have. There we go. It was working painfully slow yesterday afternoon, so I was a little worried that it wouldn't actually come up. But at any rate, this is, again, it looks very familiar to what the website looks like. Even clicking on the title Christmas Carol and going through here and checking it out, it looks exactly the same. The main difference here is that if they download it here, it's going to download directly into this app, and they can play it again directly from the app. They don't have to download a zip file, unzip it, transfer it, do all of that. So this is actually a little bit of a more straightforward method if they are going to use OneClickDigital. And again, the app is just called OneClickDigital. They can go into the iOS or Google Play stores and download it directly. It's also on Amazon's App Store, so they can download it directly to a Kindle Fire or something like that. They can do that and then download by clicking Checkout Now, and it will download all of those pieces directly into the app, and they can play it from the app. They can also then go over to the titles that they've already checked out. You can see my titles, and there's the Oscar Wilde book that I checked out yesterday and The Awakening today. These little symbols indicate that I have not yet downloaded these titles. Once they are downloaded, those will go away and a little play button will appear, and I can actually start listening to them the way you would in any other media player. Let's see. I am going to come up here to this little question mark. This is for help. You can find more information about how to use the app, other places where you can get the app. Oh, and apparently I didn't mention this. It is apparently also available in the Nook App Store as well. There are also desktop apps for Windows and Macs if you want to go that route. These would probably be more useful and maybe even required if we had something that was a bestseller in our collection. Because we don't have that, and we don't have the requirement for anything to manage the circulation of those titles, because everything is in public domain, you don't need these apps. You can just download them directly to your devices. And then, of course, you can get specific assistance for e-audio by tapping over here and looking at tutorials and FAQs. Let's see, where did my settings menu go? My titles, my account. I swear it was right here. Maybe it's down at the bottom somewhere. Well, that's strange. I was going to show you. Maybe I can get there through my account. Okay, so here's my profile. By going into my account, you can see what library I'm associated with, what username I'm currently using, what email address is currently being used for this account. I can go into my preferences and change preferred formats and things like that. Again, a lot of this would be way more meaningful if we had other formats, but we don't. So it's really kind of a non-issue for us because we don't have ebooks, we don't have other formats of audio. It's primarily just the one version, and that's just my account. Where in the world was the settings? There was a settings menu that I was just in not long ago before I started this tutorial. that I wanted to show you because it allowed you to add profiles. And I thought that might be something worth showing you. And now I can't seem to find that menu option. And it looks like I've broken it. Well, you could see the settings in my account. Essentially, when you're setting up your account for the first time, it asks you for your library. It asks you for your account credentials. So your recorded books account that you set up whenever you initially create your account. And if you don't have one, there's a register button. You can go through and put in your name and email address and things like that. And then from that point on, it's registered in that app, and all of your circulation activity is then tied to that. That is essentially how this works from both the web and the app perspective. I know that the app is a little bit easier to use. It's something that downloads directly to the app rather than requiring you to download it to a computer and transfer it and things like that. So that may be the way to recommend this to patrons. Again, the collection is currently free for us right now, so it probably is not going to change from something that is just kind of thrown in with Zinio. If we change periodicals vendors, we talked last week about Overdrive periodicals. If that ends up taking off and we end up going down that road with just having all of our periodicals and everything through Overdrive, this may in fact go away because it's just something that they throw in sort of to sweeten the deal, and I think partially to get us started so that maybe we'll buy some additional e-audio titles through them and make them available on the OneClickDigital site, so that, again, kind of just getting us into their system rather than solely being an Overdrive system. Okay, so I just checked and I didn't see any questions in the chat. So since I don't see any there, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and say thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or give me a call, and I will see you next time. Thanks.